You know what nobody ever asks me? They never ask why light doesn't go faster. Isn't that strange? We're obsessed with the limit, this cosmic speed barrier at 186,000 miles per second. But we never stop to wonder why there's a fastest thing at all. I mean, really think about it. In a universe this vast, this wild, why would nature pick a number and say, that's it, no further? What if I told you the speed limit isn't really about speed at all? It's about something far stranger, something that changes what you are when you try to move. The universe isn't putting up a stop sign. It's showing you its deepest truth about time, space, and reality itself. See, most people hear, nothing can go faster than light, and they just accept it. It becomes another fact to memorize, like the date of some historical event or the name of a capital city. But that's not understanding. That's just collecting words, and I've spent my whole life trying to help people move from collecting words to actually seeing what's going on beneath them. Because when you really understand why light speed is the limit, you're not just learning physics, you're learning how the universe thinks, how reality holds itself together, what it means to move through space and time at all. And here's the thing that bothers me about how this gets taught. People make it sound arbitrary, like the universe just picked a number out of a hat and said, okay, this is the speed limit, don't ask questions. But that's so backwards it hurts. The speed of light isn't some rule that got imposed on reality from the outside. It's a property of reality itself. It emerges from the deep structure of how space and time work together. And once you see that, once you really feel it in your bones, everything changes. The way you think about motion, about cause and effect, about what it means to exist in time, all of it reorganizes itself into something more beautiful and more strange than you ever imagined. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through this step by step, and I'm not going to hide behind equations or jargon. We're going to use thought experiments, stories, and simple ideas that you can picture in your mind. And by the time we're done, you're going to understand not just that the speed of light is a limit, but why it has to be. Why the universe couldn't work any other way. Why this isn't a restriction but a revelation. Because here's what you need to know right up front. You've been told your whole life that nothing can go faster than light, but nobody's explained why in a way that actually makes sense. You're left with this hollow fact, this thing you're supposed to believe without understanding, and that creates a kind of pain, doesn't it? An intellectual itch you can't scratch. You sense there's something deeper here, some key that would unlock how time and space and existence actually work. But every time you reach for it, it slips away. Every explanation you find either drowns you in math or gives you metaphors that don't quite add up. What I'm going to give you is the emotional and structural understanding of why light speed is the limit. Not just the what, but the why, the deep why, the kind of why that changes how you see reality. We're going to explore the hidden connection between the speed of light and the nature of time itself. We're going to understand why faster-than-light travel isn't just hard or impractical. It's actually meaningless. It doesn't make sense within the structure of what space and time are. And we're going to see how the limit is actually a unifying feature of reality, not a restriction. It's what holds everything together, what makes cause and effect possible, what allows the universe to have a past and a future instead of just chaos. Now, most people think the speed of light is a rule the universe enforces, like there's some cosmic police officer out there with a radar gun making sure nobody speeds. But that's completely wrong. The speed of light is a property of spacetime itself. It's what you measure when you measure how fast causality can propagate, how quickly now becomes then how information moves from one place to another. The limit isn't arbitrary, it's definitional, it's built into the fabric of what space and time are. And here's the reframe I want to give you. By the end of this, you're going to stop asking, why can't we break it? And start asking, what does it reveal? Because that's where the real insight lives, not in fighting against the limit, but in understanding what it tells us about the nature of reality. So let me take you on a journey. Close your eyes for a second. Well, not literally you're watching this, but imagine it vividly. You're in a spaceship, a beautiful, powerful spaceship, and you're out in the depths of space, far from any star or planet. Just you and the cosmos. You fire the engines and you feel it. That push in your back, that acceleration pressing you into your seat. You're moving now. You're going fast, really fast, faster than any jet, faster than any rocket that's ever been built. You check your instruments, and you're traveling at, let's say, 10% the speed of light. That's 18,600 miles per second. Unimaginably fast by human standards. But you want to go faster, so you fire the engines again. Same amount of fuel, same thrust, same force pushing you forward, and you accelerate. You gain speed, but here's what you start to notice, and this is where things get weird. You don't gain as much speed as you did the first time. The fuel burns the same, the engines produce the same force, but your velocity increase is smaller. It's like you're running through water, and the faster you go, the thicker the water gets. You keep firing the engines again and again. Each time, you gain less speed than before. Each time it takes more effort to achieve less result. And you start to feel something strange, even though you can't quite put your finger on it. The universe is changing the rules on you. It's not letting you simply add velocity the way you'd expect. There's something pushing back, something resisting, but it's not friction. It's not air resistance. You're in the vacuum of space. So what is it? Here's what's happening. And this is going to sound crazy, but it's absolutely true. You're getting heavier. Not heavier like you ate a big meal, heavier like your actual mass is increasing. The faster you go, the more massive you become. And I don't mean this metaphorically or approximately. I mean really, truly, measurably heavier. If you started with a mass of, say, 1,000 kilograms, and you accelerate to 90% of the speed of light, you now have a mass of about 2,300 kilograms, more than twice as heavy as when you started. And it gets stranger. While this is happening to you back on Earth, let's say your family is watching you through the most powerful telescope ever built, they're seeing something impossible. Your clock is slowing down, not because it's broken, not because there's something wrong with the mechanism, but because time itself, for you, is running slower than it is for them. This is time dilation, and it's not science fiction. It's been measured. We've put atomic clocks on airplanes and flown them around the world, and when they land, they're behind the clocks that stayed on the ground. Not by much, by billionths of a second, but measurably, repeatably, undeniably behind. And there's more. Your spaceship, to the people watching from Earth, looks squashed, compressed in the direction of motion, like someone took a photograph of it and squeezed it horizontally. This is length contraction. From your perspective, inside the ship, everything seems normal. Your measurements are the same, the ship looks fine, but to the outside world, you're literally shorter in the direction you're traveling. Now, you're getting frustrated. You want to reach light speed. You want to break through that barrier. So you fire the engines one more time. You pour in all the energy you have. And here's the moment that breaks my heart every time I think about it. You don't break through. You don't suddenly jump to light speed. Instead, that energy you poured in doesn't become speed anymore. It becomes mass. It becomes you. You get heavier still. Your mass increases, and now it takes even more energy to accelerate you even a tiny bit more. You're caught in a trap. The closer you get to the speed of light, the more massive you become. The more massive you become, the more energy it takes to accelerate you. And it's not a linear relationship. It's exponential. By the time you're at 99% of light speed, you're about 7 times heavier than you started. At 99.9%, you're 22 times heavier. At 99.99%, you're 71 times heavier. And as you approach light speed, as you get infinitesimally close, your mass approaches infinity. Think about what that means, infinite mass. To accelerate infinite mass requires infinite energy. Not a lot of energy. Not all the energy in all the stars and all the galaxies. Infinite energy. which doesn't exist, which can't exist. The universe doesn't have infinite energy to give you, so you can't get there, not because there's a wall, not because there's a force field, but because the math itself, the structure of reality itself, makes it impossible. The speed of light isn't a barrier you crash into. It's an asymptote you can chase forever, spending all the energy that exists and ever will exist, and you'll never quite arrive. You can get closer and closer, 99.999999%, but never 100. And that's not a bug. That's a feature. That's the universe telling you something profound about what speed means, about what motion means, about what you are. See, I think the frustration people feel about this comes from a misunderstanding. We think of the speed limit like a law, like something imposed arbitrarily that we should be able to break if we're just clever enough or work hard enough. But it's not like that at all. It's more like asking why you can't build a square circle. It's not that it's too hard, it's that the request itself doesn't make sense within the structure of what circles and squares are. Same thing here. Faster-than-light travel doesn't make sense within the structure of what space and time are, and now I want to flip your perspective entirely. Forget the spaceship for a moment. Forget being human. Let's become something else. Let's become a photon, a particle of light. You're born in the core of a star, deep inside, where hydrogen atoms are being crushed together by unimaginable pressure and heat, fusing into helium and releasing energy. That energy is you. You're a photon, a little packet of electromagnetic radiation, and you start your journey outward. It takes you thousands of years to bounce and scatter your way from the core to the surface of the star. Photons get absorbed and re-emitted over and over in that dense plasma. But eventually you break free. You emerge from the surface of the star and you're in open space. Now you're heading toward Earth. It's going to take you 8 minutes to get there. 8 minutes as measured by someone standing on Earth watching you. But here's the thing that will absolutely blow your mind. For you, no time passes. Zero. Nothing. Nada. From your perspective, your entire journey is instantaneous. You leave the star and you arrive at someone's eyeball on Earth in the same moment. The same instant. There is no duration for you. Why? Because you're moving at the speed of light. And when you move at the speed of light, time stops. Completely. You don't experience time at all. The entire universe, from your perspective, is happening in a single, eternal moment. And here's what makes this even stranger. You have no mass. Zero rest mass. You're pure energy, pure motion. You can't slow down. There's no brake pedal for a photon. There's no rest state. If you could somehow stop, if you could somehow decelerate to zero velocity, you would cease to exist. You'd vanish, because you are your motion. Your existence and your movement are the same thing. You don't move through space and time. You are the movement. This is the trade-off written into the fabric of reality. Mass and time are one kind of currency. You can have mass, and if you do, you experience time. You get to have a past and a future. You get to change, to remember, to anticipate. But you can never reach light speed. Light speed and timelessness are another currency. You can move at light speed, but if you do, you have no mass and you don't experience time. You exist in an eternal now, unchanging, timeless, massless. And you can't have both. The universe makes you choose. Actually, the universe chooses for you, based on what you are. If you have mass, if you're an electron, a proton, a person, a planet, you're in the time-experiencing camp. You move through time, and there's a limit to how fast you can move through space. If you're massless, if you're a photon, a graviton, any massless particle, you move at light speed, and time doesn't apply to you. The speed limit is the boundary between those two kingdoms. It's the edge where the rules change, and it's not arbitrary. It emerges from something deeper, something more fundamental about how the universe is put together. So let's talk about what that fundamental thing is. Let's talk about causality, about cause and effect, about the fact that when you do something, a consequence happens after, not before. This seems so obvious that you might wonder why I'm even mentioning it. But it's not obvious at all. It's a deep structural feature of reality, and the speed of light is what enforces it. Here's what I mean. When you flip a light switch, the light turns on. Cause and effect, right? But there's a delay. The electrical signal has to travel from the switch through the wire to the bulb. That signal doesn't travel instantly. It moves at some fraction of the speed of light, depending on the properties of the wire. Usually around half the speed of light or so for copper wires. But the key point is, it takes time. Information takes time to move from one place to another. And the maximum speed that information can travel is the speed of light. When the sun explodes, and don't worry, it's not going to happen for billions of years, when it finally does explode, we won't know about it immediately. We'll keep seeing the sun shining normally for 8 minutes, because it takes 8 minutes for light to travel from the sun to Earth. For those 8 minutes, the sun could have vanished, and we'd have no way of knowing. The information, the light, the signal that says, hey, something happened, is still in transit. Now, what if you could send a signal faster than light? What if you had some magical faster-than-light communicator? Here's where things get really weird, and this is going to require you to think carefully. Imagine you're on Earth, and your friend is on a spaceship moving away from Earth at, let's say, half the speed of light. You send them a faster-than-light message. From your perspective, the message goes out and arrives at their ship in less time than it would take light to get there. Fine, seems okay. But here's the problem. Because your friend is moving relative to you, and because of how relativity works, what counts as simultaneous for you doesn't count as simultaneous for them. Time and space get mixed up when you're moving at high speeds. Events that happen at the same time in your reference frame happen at different times in their reference frame. This isn't opinion or interpretation, it's a mathematical consequence of the way space and time are woven together. So when your friend receives your faster-than-light message and sends a faster-than-light message back to you, something impossible happens. Their return message can arrive before you sent the original message. You get the reply before you ask the question. Effect before cause. You could receive information from your own future. You could know things before they happen. And that breaks reality. That creates paradoxes that can't be resolved. The famous one is the grandfather paradox. If you could send information faster than light, you could, in principle, send a message to your past self saying, "Don't do the thing." But if you don't do the thing, you never send the message, so you do the thing, so you send the message, so you don't do the thing. It's an infinite loop with no resolution. The universe doesn't just dislike this, it structurally forbids it. And the way it forbids it is simple and elegant. Nothing can go faster than light. The speed limit protects causality. It protects the arrow of time. It makes sure that causes happen before effects, that the past is fixed and the future is open. That reality makes sense. So the speed of light isn't really about light at all. It's about information. It's about causality. It's the universal speed limit for how fast cause and effect can propagate through space. Light happens to travel at this speed because light is massless. But the speed itself? That's more fundamental than light. If light didn't exist, the speed limit would still be there. It's the speed of causality itself. And here's something beautiful. Gravity moves at the same speed. If the sun suddenly vanished, we wouldn't feel the gravitational change immediately. We'd keep orbiting normally for 8 minutes, until the information, the gravitational wave, that says, "Hey, the sun's gone," reaches us. Gravity and light travel at the same speed because they're both obeying the same fundamental limit. The speed of causality. Now let's talk about energy and mass, because this is where E equals mc squared comes in, and I want you to really understand what that equation is telling you. It's not just a formula for making bombs, though that's how most people know it. It's a statement about the nature of reality. It says that energy and mass are the same thing. Not similar, not related. The same thing in different forms. When you add energy to an object, you add mass. Actual, real, measurable mass. If you heat up a cup of coffee, it gets heavier. Not by much. The amount of mass you add is tiny, too small to measure with any ordinary scale. But in principle, in reality, a hot cup of coffee weighs more than a cold one. The energy of the heat has mass. When you compress a spring, it gets heavier. The potential energy stored in the spring has mass. When you charge a battery, it gets heavier. The chemical energy stored in it has mass. Every form of energy contributes to mass. And here's the key. When you accelerate an object, when you make it move faster, you're giving it kinetic energy. Energy of motion. And that energy has mass. So when you're in that spaceship, accelerating toward light speed, every bit of energy you add shows up as mass. You're literally getting heavier with every burst of the engines. And since F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration, the heavier you get, the more force it takes to accelerate you by the same amount. It's a vicious cycle. The energy you put in makes you heavier, which makes it harder to accelerate, which means the next burst of energy makes you even heavier, which makes it even harder to accelerate, on and on forever. At 90% of light speed, every joule of energy you add gives you less than half the velocity increase it would have given you when you were at rest. At 99%, every joule gives you less than 1/7 the velocity increase. As you approach light speed, the efficiency approaches zero. You can pour in all the energy in the universe, and you'll barely budge, because you've become so massive that accelerating you even a tiny bit more requires an impossible amount of energy. And here's the kicker. This isn't the universe being mean to you. This isn't some arbitrary rule to keep you from having fun. This is a direct, mathematical consequence of the fact that energy and mass are the same thing. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. The speed of light is right there in the equation that tells you energy and mass are equivalent. It's not a coincidence. It's not just a conversion factor. It's the fundamental exchange rate between energy and mass. It's built into the structure of spacetime itself. When Einstein first realized this, when he first understood that mass and energy were equivalent and that the speed of light was the conversion factor between them, it must have felt like discovering the universe's source code. Because that's what it is. It's not a law imposed from outside. It's how reality compiles itself into existence. Now I want to blow your mind one more time, and this is the piece that really makes everything click into place. You think you're sitting still right now, don't you? You think you're stationary, not moving. But you're wrong. You're moving right now at the speed of light. Not through space, through space-time. Space and time aren't separate things. They're not like two different ingredients in a recipe. They're woven together into a single fabric called space-time. It's a four-dimensional thing. 3 dimensions of space, 1 of time. And motion through space-time is always happening. You're always moving through it. Right now. Always. When you're sitting still, not moving through space, you're moving through time at maximum speed. 1 second per second. That's your motion through the time dimension. But when you start moving through space, something strange happens. You trade some of your motion through time for motion through space. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. That's time dilation. It's not a side effect or a weird consequence. It's the mechanism. It's how it works. You have a total amount of motion through space-time, and that total is always the same. Always. It's the speed of light. You're always moving at the speed of light through space-time. But you distribute that motion between space and time depending on your velocity. When you're stationary, all of it goes into time. When you're moving, some goes into space, some into time. When you reach light speed, if you were massless, all of it goes into space and none into time. That's why time stops for a photon. It's using its entire motion budget on space. This is why nothing with mass can reach light speed. Because you'd have to shift all your motion from time to space, and if you did that, You'd stop moving through time entirely. You'd become timeless. But to be timeless, you have to be massless. Mass and time go together. If you have one, you have the other. If you don't have one, you don't have the other. I know this is hard to wrap your head around. It took Einstein years to figure it out, and he was pretty smart. But try to feel it. You're not stationary. You've never been stationary. You're moving through space-time at the speed of light right now. And you have been since the moment you were born, since before you were born, since the atoms that make you up first came into existence. The question isn't whether you're moving fast enough. The question is how you distribute your motion between space and time. And here's the beautiful part. You get to choose. Well, sort of. You can decide to move through space, and when you do, time slows down for you. You can decide to stay still, and time moves at maximum speed. But either way, your total motion through space-time stays the same. The universe is deeply democratic about this. Everyone and everything moves at light speed through space-time. The only difference is how we spend it. Now, why is light special? Why can light do the thing that you and I can't do? It comes down to mass, or rather the lack of it. Light, photons, have zero rest mass. Not a tiny amount. Not almost zero, exactly zero. And that changes everything. If a photon had even the tiniest bit of mass, even 1/1,000,000th of the mass of an electron, it couldn't move at the speed of light. It would slow down. It would interact with the universe differently. The equations of electromagnetism would change. Chemistry would be different. Stars would burn differently. The universe would be unrecognizable. But photons are massless, and so they move at the maximum speed, the speed of causality, the speed we call the speed of light, because light is our most familiar example of something that moves at it. Being massless gives light its properties. It moves at c. It doesn't experience time. It carries energy and momentum, but no rest mass. It can be absorbed or emitted, but never slowed down or sped up. And because of that, it defines the structure of causality, the limit of speed, the shape of space-time itself. We, with our mass, are locked out of that world. We can't move at c. We can't escape time. We can't become pure motion. But that's not a tragedy. That's our identity. Our mass is what gives us persistence, structure, the ability to have a history and a future, the ability to be something rather than just motion, the ability to change, to grow, to learn, to remember. Light experiences the entire history of the universe in a single instant. But it doesn't learn anything from it. It doesn't grow. It doesn't change. It just is, eternally, timelessly. We experience the universe one moment at a time, slowly, across years and decades and lifetimes. But we get to learn. We get to change. We get to be different tomorrow than we are today. Which is the real victory? Speed or experience? Motion or meaning? I know which one I'd choose. And that brings me to the philosophical point, the thing I really want you to take away from all this. The speed limit isn't a restriction. It's what makes meaning possible. Without it, there's no causality. No before and after, no cause and effect, no structure. Just chaos. Just a jumbled mess where anything can influence anything else in any order, where the past and future are all mixed together, where nothing makes sense. The speed of light is the framework that holds reality together. It's the rhythm, the beat, the tempo, that keeps everything from collapsing into paradox. It's what makes it possible for you to have a story, to have a life that unfolds in time, to have causes that lead to effects, to be able to learn and grow and change, because the past is fixed and the future is open. You don't want to break the speed limit. You really don't, because if you could, you'd break time itself. You'd shatter the structure that makes your existence possible. The speed limit isn't keeping you from something better. It's creating the space where you can exist at all. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's worth marveling at. The universe could have been structured so many different ways. It could have been chaos. It could have been random. It could have had no rules at all, or rules that made life impossible, or rules that were arbitrary and ugly. But instead it has this deep, elegant structure where energy and mass are the same thing, where space and time are woven together, where the speed limit emerges naturally from the fact that information takes time to propagate, where everything fits together in a way that's mathematically beautiful and philosophically profound. When I look at the equations that describe this, I see poetry. I see a universe that makes sense, that has reasons for its rules, that isn't arbitrary or capricious but coherent and unified. The speed of light connects electromagnetism and gravity. It connects mass and energy. It connects space and time. It's the thread that weaves through all of physics, tying everything together into a single tapestry. And you're part of that tapestry. You're not separate from these rules. You're made of them. Every atom in your body obeys them. The electrons orbiting your atoms, the quarks in your protons and neutrons, the photons that let you see and feel warmth, all of it following the same deep structure, the same fundamental limits, the same beautiful mathematics. So what do you do with this understanding? How does this change the way you live? Let me give you some practical ways to think about this. First, embrace your limits as structure, not restriction. Look at your own life. Where do you feel constrained? Where do you wish you could move faster, be more, do more, accomplish more? We all have those feelings. We all wish we had more time, more energy, more capacity. But what if those limits aren't blocking you? What if they're defining you? Just like the speed of light defines the structure of spacetime, your constraints define the shape of your possibility. You can't do everything. You can't be everywhere at once. You can't have infinite energy or infinite time. But that's not a bug. That's what makes your choices meaningful. If you could do everything, nothing you did would matter. It's the fact that you have to choose, that you have limited time and limited energy, that gives weight to your decisions. So here's what I want you to do. Think of one limitation you resent. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's energy or health or opportunity. Write it down. Really look at it. And then ask yourself, what does this limit make possible? How does this boundary create coherence, meaning, or focus in my life? What would I lose if this limit disappeared? I think you'll find, if you're honest with yourself, that the limit is creating something valuable. It's forcing you to prioritize. It's making your choices matter. It's giving structure to your life in a way that infinite possibility never could. Second, trade speed for depth. The universe teaches us a trade-off. You can't move infinitely fast and experience time. You distribute your motion. Same thing in life. You can rush through experiences, checking them off a list, moving from one thing to the next without really being present. Or you can slow down and feel them. You can give them your full attention. You can move through them with awareness and presence. And when you do that, time does something strange. It slows down for you. Not literally, not in the physics sense, but experientially. When you're fully present, when you're really paying attention, moments expand. They become richer, deeper, more meaningful. You remember them better. They shape you more profoundly. So this week, I want you to pick one moment where you'd usually rush. Maybe it's breakfast. Maybe it's a conversation with someone you love. Maybe it's a walk or a project or a quiet moment alone. Whatever it is, slow down. Move through it with full attention. Notice what you gain when you trade speed for presence. Notice how the quality of the experience changes. Third, recognize the asymptotes in your life. Some goals are asymptotes. You can approach them forever, but never fully arrive. And that's not failure. That's the structure of growth. The speed of light is an asymptote for anything with mass. You can get closer and closer, 99%, 99.9%, 99.99%, but never quite 100. And that's okay. The journey itself adds value. The pursuit itself changes you, makes you more capable, more resilient, more skilled. Think about mastery in any field. You're never done. There's always more to learn, always another level of skill to develop, always deeper understanding to pursue. That's not a bug. That's what makes mastery meaningful. If you could achieve perfect mastery instantly, it wouldn't be valuable. It's the endless pursuit, the asymptotic approach toward perfection that creates growth and meaning. So identify one asymptotic goal in your life. Something you'll always pursue but never perfect. Maybe it's being a good parent. Maybe it's artistic skill. Maybe it's understanding yourself or the universe. Whatever it is, reframe it. Stop thinking of it as a destination you've failed to reach. Start thinking of it as a direction you're moving in. Celebrate the approach, not the arrival. Let the pursuit be the point. Because here's the secret. The speed of light isn't limiting light. Light is already there, already moving at maximum speed. The limit is for us, for everything with mass. And for us, the approach is where all the meaning lives. Light doesn't experience the journey. It doesn't grow or change or learn. But we do. We get to experience the pursuit. We get to become different people through the process of reaching for things we'll never fully grasp. And that's not a consolation prize. That's the main event. That's the gift of having mass, of being bound to time, of moving through the universe one moment at a time, instead of experiencing it all at once in a timeless instant. So when we started, the speed of light was just a number, a random cosmic rule, something you memorized in school and never thought about again. But now you know it's so much more than that. It's the foundation. It's the speed of causality, the boundary between time and timelessness, the self-enforcing limit that emerges from the unity of mass and energy. It's not arbitrary. It's inevitable. It's beautiful. You've learned that light doesn't experience time, that you're always moving at light speed through spacetime, that the limit isn't a wall but an asymptote, and that energy and mass are one. More than that, you've felt it. You've felt why the universe must be this way, why the limit creates meaning rather than destroying it, why the structure of reality is elegant and coherent and worth marveling at. And here's what I want you to remember, what I want you to carry with you. You're not too slow. You're not stuck. You're not limited in some tragic way. You're moving through space-time at the only speed that lets you be you, a being with mass, with memory, with time to learn and change and grow. The universe isn't limiting you. It's defining the space where your story can happen. It's creating the framework where causes lead to effects, where the past shapes the future, where your choices matter because you can't do everything and you can't be everywhere and you have to decide what's important. The speed of light is the bones of reality. And you're not meant to be light. You're meant to be something else, something slower, something heavier, something bound to time, something that gets to experience the journey instead of just arriving instantly at the destination. And that's not a weakness. That's your superpower. If this resonated with you, if you feel like you see the universe a little differently now, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Not for me, I'm not here to collect likes, but for yourself. As a signal to yourself that you value this kind of depth, this kind of wonder, this kind of thinking that goes beyond the surface. Leave a comment with one thing that shifted for you. What clicked? What surprised you? What are you still wrestling with? I want to know. And if you want more of this, more physics as philosophy, more questions that change how you see reality, more conversations that treat you like the intelligent, curious person you are, subscribe. Because I'll be here, asking the next strange question, exploring the next deep truth, trying to help you see the universe the way I see it, as something beautiful and comprehensible and worth understanding. The universe has a speed limit, but curiosity, wonder, the desire to understand, those have no bounds at all. And that's what makes us more than just particles following rules. That's what makes us meaning makers, question askers, reality explorers. We can't go faster than light, but we can understand why, and in understanding, we become something light can never be, conscious witnesses to the beauty of it all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for thinking with me. Now go look at the world with new eyes.